I have in front of me here a 97cm mesh satellite dish from Stav Electronics. This is a really fantastic dish in terms of the quality and also how clever the design is on it. So the reason that the dish is perforated in mesh is that if you need a large dish, one of the key problems you can have with it is that it moves in the wind. So the fact that this is perforated means that the wind can pass through it and it makes it much less likely to move in the wind. And also for somebody assembling and installing this, the fact it's perforated means it's a lot lighter, easier to work with, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give an overview of all the component parts that make up this dish, and I'm also going to go through the assembly of it and mention a few accessory products that you'd use with it, okay? So the first thing to say then is the skin of the dish we've seen already. This here is the dish bracket, just bolts onto the back of the dish. This is the LMB bracket, which holds the LMB at a set distance from the dish. We've an elevation bracket here, which decides the angle at which the dish is set at. And then we have bolts and brackets here. And the reason that they are used is for bolting this onto a bracket on the wall. I'll give a quick overview of that in a few moments, okay? And finally we have this LMB holder here, and people might notice that this is a similar design to use in a lot of other dishes, but the most famous of which is probably Triax, and it just means that there's a set way that we can clip this into the dish and hold it securely, and also there's a lot of associated peripheral goods for holding multiple LMBs, etc., that all use the same type of design. So it makes this a very interchangeable dish in terms of other products that we sell or that are available on the market. Finally, I'm going to mention that we have just quick assembly instructions here. With the video here, you probably won't need this, but at the same time, it does give a pretty clear graphic on how to assemble it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to come along and I'm just going to assemble this LMB into the LMB holder. So what we do here is just push the LMB in like this. Just make sure it's flat, and we just adjust it there, get it nice. And what we're going to do here is I'm just going to pick up the screw here, I'm going to slot it through, and I'm going to pick up, we only have two assembly tools for this, with 13mm socket with a ratchet and a Phillips screwdriver. So just start screwing this in here. The thing you'll note here is that there's a built-in nut on the far side, and it's hexagonal in shape, and it just means we can come along and we can turn it and it'll just lock in tighter and tighter position. So that's the LMB added on, okay, to the bracket. So the next thing I'll come along and we're going to look just at the actual elevation bracket. So I just slot this U-bolt through like this, I bring it around, I slot this bracket here on top, and I'll put on a nut here. And the idea of this bracket here that we're touching on is we'll use this for actually attaching the whole satellite dish onto a wall bracket, okay? And I'm just going to give a quick demonstration of this here now. We have here a wall bracket. So I'll just mention here briefly that you would of course put a second bolt similar to that at the bottom hole here. So just top and bottom, you have two brackets, and you come along and you slide it down over this bracket here, and then you just tighten it in with a 13mm spanner, and it means you can lock it quite tightly, and it can just rotate around like this. So you loosely tighten it first of all, and then when you have the exact positioning done, tighten it in extremely tightly, and it'll lock into position. And you just see here the grips that are on it, they're sort of jagged, and it means they can really bite into the bracket. The bracket here we have for it is quite large, but it is quite a large dish, so it's a good idea to have something like that, okay? So that's the overview of that part here. Next we're going to move along and we're going to talk about the actual, how to connect the LMB arm onto the actual bracket here, okay? So if we just look at this here, we'll see that the arm seems to be the same top and bottom, except for the fact there's a little hole on the bottom. And the importance of that is, it just means that water got into this now, it can run off out of it, okay? Through the hole in the bottom. So I'll just put that to the bottom. What I'm going to do here is, I'm just going to show that on the side here we have a hole on this side and an identical hole on the other side, and it matches up with this little plastic insert that we have here, and it's slanted in terms of the edge. So if we slide this into position here, and then we put some force in to push it in. I'm just going to do this now. You can see this is now popped into position, both sides, and it's locked extremely securely into position. And to make it even more secure, what we're going to do is we're going to slot through this bolt here, out this side. I have a very small nut I put onto it, and the reason we're adding on this additional bolt is that if there was a lot of pressure put here, it might actually try to widen out this bracket at the back, and allow us to actually come along and this arm not to be securely locked in position. So by tightening this in here, we hold it in a set position to make sure it can't loosen over a period of time, and it just makes the assembly of the dish that bit more secure. So we have this part of the assembly done. Now, normally what we'd be doing at this point here is, we'd be using these bolts here, just to do this assembly here. So, I'm wondering how the best way of showing this. Yeah, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to push this in here. So on this thing here, you can mount this upside down and it'll still work pretty well. But what I'm going to do here is I've obviously want the right one to be the right way up in the dish. So it just means the numbers at the bottom here. And I'm just going to slide this over here. And you'll see that there's holes here in the centre. And I want the little mark here in the centre of this to line up with this. So just push it in here. And it just slots in. There. And can you hear that click now? And it's secure in position. Now in poorly designed dishes there's no such solid click happens. And what we do here is we just slot this through here, and I'm just going to get a bolt here, and I'm going to assemble it here, and I'm going to repeat exactly the same process for the bottom. We'll do it. I'll actually leave out the step just for a second here. I want to reduce the length of the video. You can see the process here. You just bolt it here, and it just allows us to rotate this. And once again, we tighten this up to make it secure, but not so tight that we lock it into position, because you don't want to do that fully until obviously you have your dish aligned. Okay. So the final step of the process is just to assemble it all together in one. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to stand up for a moment. And I'm going to move. And I'm going to push this thing, the L&B bracket and the dish thing, directly through. And I'm just going to move to the edge of the table here, just so I can angle it and use gravity to help me here. And obviously I've positioned myself somewhat poorly here, but I think you get the general idea. So we have these bolts here, and they're square in design. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these bolts, I'm going to shove them through from the front. And I'm just going to here, and I get a nut. I don't know if you can see this at all now. I just try to hold it up. But lock it up like this. And what I would do is I'll grab my 13mm socket here. I'll just screw it together like that. And I'll repeat this for all 6 holes. Okay, so there's 6 nuts, 6 bolts here, and we're now to slot the whole thing together. So if we just look at the front here, we have effectively now a fully assembled satellite dish. And the final part of the process would be to come along and to grab this dish part, and we'd simply assemble it like this, and then push straight in. And once again, it has the same clicking mechanism, so we can just push it in, slide it down. I'm not going to click it in because all the way, because it's a little bit tricky to get it back out. You have to use just a screwdriver with it. But you can see the general idea. So the overall design of it is excellent. So what accessories might you possibly buy with this product here? I'm just going to leave this here now. I'll just angle it here. Well, one product that I mentioned earlier, and I'm just going to briefly show you here, is if you were trying to use this dish with multiple L&Bs, we have this L&B holder, once again for SAB, but it'll work on Triax dishes, etc. And what you could do is you could just slot this in where the L&B had gone previously. And this is what I mentioned earlier about the modular design. If we come along here and push this in, we could put in additional L&Bs on it. So you can buy this dish with the bracket or without the bracket, and all the associated L&Bs, etc. Is all listed on it. So that's it. So hopefully I'll get a good overview of the actual product here now. I think this is going to be a very, very popular product with it. We sell a lot of good dishes, but I don't think any actually top it in terms of design and the quality of the dish of these particular ones here. SAB are noted for it. They're making dishes for a huge range of competitors, including Amico, etc. Simply because they have a very high-tech manufacturing facility, and this is their main stay of their business, is actually high-quality satellite dishes like this.